What's up, everyone? This is Pooka bringing you another game I played on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. I apologize for the lack of content recently, but the last day of U.S. Nationals I actually got sick. You might be able to hear it in my voice a little bit, so I apologize in advance for that. I've just been trying to recover until my voice comes back, and then I'll be sure to get some more videos out to you soon. I haven't really gotten too many from U.S. Nationals. I'm definitely going to do some of those, but this is going to be the start of a new series where I use low-tier decks against top-tier players. And the first one is going to be against the one and only Michael Pramalot. You can see the SH Panda. And he's going to be using the deck that won U.S. Nationals, which is, of course, that Gothitelle Accelgor deck that Edmund Kuras used to take down the tournament. It was a big upset, I would say, since Edmund really hasn't played all year, but he is an incredible player. And he piloted this deck to victory, which just revolves around Accelgor's deck and cover to paralyze and poison your opponent. And then you send out Gothitelle to use the Magic Room ability, which blocks item cards from being played. So then they can't play any cards like Switch. And then you also use Dusknoir's Sinister Hand to rearrange damage on your opponent's field, so that you can just kind of trap something in the active infinitely until you take all of your prizes at once and win the game. That is the general strategy of the deck. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's an incredible deck when it sets up. It won the biggest tournament in the world. U.S. Nationals had 927 players at this year's tournament, and this was the deck that won it all. All right, so what am I going to use to combat this powerhouse of a lock deck? Well, we're going to use a deck that I used in a previous video, which revolved around Flygon, Chandelure, and Dusknoir. And I believe I called it Let's Hit the Beach. It's an idea I got from some players from the Chicago area, Hondo Luna, Joe Baca, Isaac Soto, and Colin Peterick. And basically the idea is just to use Tropical Beach every turn. That is it. Just take advantage of your abilities with Flygon and Chandelure, and yeah, that's it. You just kind of hope that you can whittle them down, and then you actually just don't attack ever. You just use Tropical Beach to end your turn and let the abilities do all the work. So, can this low-tier deck, because I think we can all agree this is probably not a tournament-viable deck, can it go up against arguably the strongest deck in the game right now, Gothitelle Accelgor? Alright, that is what we're going to have to find out here. So I do play a lot of heavy Pokemon lines in this deck, which could end up benefiting me, you know. I have probably like a 4-3-4 Flygon line, I would say. And then like a 4-2 or like a 3-2-3 Chandelure line. So I have tons and tons of Pokemon in this deck. We're not going to be lacking in this department. And you can see here, I got a rare candy into Flygon. So I actually think, at first glance, this is probably a good matchup for me. As weird as it sounds. He did get a turn 2 knockout on my Trapinch, which is kind of a bummer. But I do get this Flygon in response. And basically all I got to do is beach and let Flygon do the work for me. So there's going to be a lot of sand slamming going around. If you don't know what that does, Flygon's Sand Slammer ability. In between turns, it does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. More specifically, it puts a damage counter. So things that prevent damage would not prevent it. But yeah, it's just a slow process. And you know, the Gothitelle Accelgor deck, it revolves around stopping your opponent from attacking, right? So what does it do against this deck? Well, I don't really attack. So I might just be able to get away with sitting there and letting my ability take over the game. It's going to be close still because I do take damage from deck and cover and all that stuff. But you can see here he misses a Gothitelle, which is a pretty big deal, which will allow me to max potion off my Flygon and basically wipe out his entire turn of attacking. So this is nice. He did have to be aggressive early on with that Accelgor. He did not get a turn to Gothitelle, which may have slowed me down a bit. But looks like, you know, kind of a rough start. But still, he took the first prize pretty early on, which is probably what he needs to do against this deck. He says, "You're lucky I started bad." But all right, here you go. The max potion heals off his attack, and you can see there's already damage starting to pile up. And so it's clearly a bad matchup for you. Clearly. You can see there's already 30 on every one of his Pokemon. Now, the Accelgor, that is actually going to be a problem because it shuffles itself back in. And then we see the Dusknoir and the Gothitelle come out. So it's going to be tough for me to take all 6 prizes, I think, because Accelgor is going to keep getting shuffled in, and I'll never really be able to knock it out. And I don't know, I just think it'll be tough. All right, here we see another deck in cover, and he promotes the Gothitelle, and then his entire board takes the good old Sand Slammer damage. And you can see I also opted not to put down Duskull in this matchup. You know, it might seem good to have Dusknoir in play, and I mean, it's never bad to have Dusknoir in play, let's be honest. But the reason I was hesitant to put it down in this game is because, well, that is the one thing in this deck that can get locked. Alright? And what I mean by that is it can get stuck active now that he has that Dusknoir of his own in play. If I put down Dusknoir, it can just get trapped. Flygon, it can't get trapped. The Sand Slammer keeps going. Chandelure can't get trapped. Curse Shadow keeps going. Alright? You can do it while you're paralyzed. Mr. Mime, it has 70 HP. So it'll get hit by deck and cover, but then it'll get knocked out from poison going back into his turn, and then I promote a Flygon, and then, well, there we go. So nothing in my deck effectively can be locked down by his strategy, except for Dusknoir, which is why I'm not putting that into play. Normally, Dusknoir is a crucial part of our strategy because, well, we need to move the damage around to knock out threats. But in this situation, I think it is more of a liability, and we can win without it. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so he actually missed a turn of deck and cover there. He does not have the Float Stone on his Gothitelle. So I get a knockout on a Gothita, and then we're going to end him down to 5 cards, and then use my Tropical Beach. And we'll continue with the Flygon nonsense. I had to click a lot of times this game because you got to click every time. Sand Slammer does 10 to everything. Alright, you can see things are starting to add up. Dusknoir has 60 damage on it. Musharna has 70 on it. I think the active Gothitelle has 70 on it as well. So this is going to be a long, long game. We're going to grind it out. And it's going to be a race against the clock. Can he knock out these Flygons before his board is overwhelmed by the damage from Sand Slammer? And there's also a Chandelure he has to worry about as well. Alright, so I don't know. Who is going to win this game? He can shuffle his Accelgors in with deck and cover. That is a problem. And he's going to use Sinister Hand here with Dusknoir, which is a smart move because, well, it's actually a couple reasons, I guess. Number one, I guess it's just one reason. He doesn't want to knock out Flygon and then give me an opportunity to promote Chandelure, put 30 on something specific to knock it out, and then just retreat into Flygon to continue the Sand Slammer. You know, spreading 10 across is nice, but it makes it difficult to really target down a Pokemon and knock it out. If I get one opportunity to use Chandelure, Curse Shadow, and drop 30 on something, say to knock out a Gothitelle, I could potentially get a free turn to use my max potions and stuff like that, and really go to town on him, and that'd probably be the end of the game. So he's making a very smart play here, moving the damage off of my Flygon with Dusknoir's Sinister Hand. I do like that he did that. And we'll see where it goes from here. Now the damage is going to add up on me pretty quickly. I'm going to play a Skyla here. You may have noticed earlier in the game I played a Skyla for a Skyla, and that's just because Skyla is just not a card I want to be drawing anymore. Right? It searches for a supporter, I guess. But I can't play items, so what is it used for? Pretty much nothing. Alright. We do see a Juniper from Pram, and you can see my game is starting to lag considerably. And I even commented on it right there. My game is lagging so hard, and it was because all this Sand Slammer, the clicking, it had to just be adding up. It's just every little thing adds up in PTCGO. The game just starts lagging more and more and more and more. And hopefully the game doesn't crash for this one. And Pram says, alright, I found it out then. He's going to take any opportunity he can to win. So now, what is this playing? I mean, he's got another Gothita. He's continuing this deck and cover chain, and he's going to use Sinister Hand here to keep spreading damage out. I'm not really sure. I mean, obviously his only plan of action is going to be deck and cover, deck and cover, deck and cover, and hope that he beats the clock. That's basically what this is. Beat the clock. Knock out 5 more of my Pokemon before Sand Slammer overwhelms his board. That has to be the name of the game here. I believe Musharna is going to go down after this turn. I'm going to take a look through his discard pile and see what he's used. I was checking for Pokemon Catcher, I think, just to see if I could ever bench Duskull. But, you know, if I don't see 4 Pokemon Catchers in there, I'm not going to be taking the risk with the old Duskull, especially now with his own Dusknoir in play. He could very easily just take down a Duskull with Sinister Hand and take a cheap prize that way. So that's something I don't want to have happen. I do take another prize here with Sand Slammer taking down the Musharna. And I decide not to end there because his hand is so small. I want to save N for a turn where, you know, he like plays a big Juniper or uses Tropical Beach to reset his hand. Because this turn, I mean, look, he's going to need to have Shelmet, Accelgor, Double Colorless, and because if he uses Accelgor this turn, he's going to need to have another Shelmet on the bench to follow up next turn. So I just want to save my ends for turns where he's probably going to need to draw more stuff. And you can see there he also had to Juniper away 2 Double Colorless there. So now an N certainly could hit him hard at some point, especially since he took another prize. And there is the other Shelmet. This is definitely the turn where I want to play an N, because next turn he's going to need Accelgor, Double Colorless, Shelmet, or Accelgor, Double Colorless, Mew to keep his chain of deck and cover going. And if he doesn't, well, then I get a free turn of Sand Slammer, basically. Alright. And now, let's see, he's going to continue with the Sinister Hand nonsense. I'm almost at the point where I'm going to knock out his Gothitelle, which is huge, because then I'll be able to play Max Potion. And I don't think I really play any other relevant items that could do anything here. But I don't know. Well, we'll see. This is very complicated, honestly. It's weird how a simple, non-attacking deck with 0 energy can put so much pressure on the deck that just won U.S. Nationals. Alright, sometimes, I don't want to say thinking outside the box, but like, little weird gimmicks like this can actually be good against these types of decks that honestly rely on traditional standards. You know, it's like the traditional way of playing Pokemon is to attack and knock out 6 of your opponent's Pokemon, or knock out enough where you get 6 prizes, right? That is how Pokemon is normally played. But when you go up against a deck that, you know, just uses abilities and doesn't actually attack, that can be, I mean, that can be devastating for a deck like Gothitelle Accelgor, which relies on preventing your opponent from attacking. I don't attack, so you're not really preventing me from doing anything. So you can see these weird little niches in Pokemon where these little decks could possibly be successful. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and build your Flygon, Chandelure, Dusknoir for Tropical Beach deck, but I'm just saying little things like this definitely can happen in Pokemon. And Pram drew an exceptional hand off of his end to 4. I believe it was Rare Candy, Gothitelle, Accelgor, Double Colorless, and then his card for the turn was an N. Alright, so that was like the best hand you could have possibly drawn. I really expected him to miss a deck and cover that turn. That would have been huge for me. But this game just got really close all of a sudden because of that. If he would have missed that there, I think I would have had an easy win where he would have just sailed to victory here on the wings of Flygon. But now this is going to be tough. Dusknoir is going to go down though, and you can see just by having this Flygon active for all these turns, we have now knocked out 4 Pokemon. Alright, we got another Litwick. And he says I probably shouldn't have benched the Mew. I don't know if that'll end up mattering or not. I do have a Litwick there. I should probably bench it, but I decided not to for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I just don't have any Lampents left, so it's not even worth it. I'm probably going to wait until Gothitelle's about to go down. And alright, he has the Tropical Beach here. So the damage is going to continue to add up. Now I can Skyla. I'm not really sure what I'm going to take. What do you take here? I can take a Max Potion. I guess that's what I'm going to take. And I should definitely bench Litwick at this point, but it looks like I'm still being stubborn and not doing it. But he is down to, let's see, 8 cards in deck. So that is... Uh-oh. That's getting scary. That just means he should be able to use deck and cover every turn, and he does get the double Accelgor down as well. So this might actually be a problem. Like, if he's able to shuffle in those Accelgors with damage, can I ever really take a prize? I don't know. It'll be very difficult. Alright, I do have to Curse Shadow here. We're going to put, I guess, 2 onto Gothitelle and 1 onto Accelgor. And I can retreat to Mr. Mime here and have him take the hit, but I don't think that's a good idea. I should definitely bench Litwick at this point. If I don't bench Litwick at this point, it is a complete misplay. Alright, finally we did it. Alright, so now we can pass. And then next turn, there's 100 on the Gothitelle. I'll be able to Curse Shadow, knock out Gothitelle, Max Potion, and then I should be able to win from there. I can Rare Candy into the other Chandelure, and we should be all good to go, I think. But some weird stuff can happen here. This is going to be a very close finish. I honestly don't know who's going to win. Anything can happen just because he can shuffle in Accelgor. And it could just be a situation where he just doesn't bench anything but, you know, Accelgors and Mews and such, and I lose. I am going to Curse Shadow here, knock out the Gothitelle. And I'll go down to 1 prize. This will open up my options for a Max Potion, and then a Rare Candy into Chandelure. So I should be able to win at this point with 2 Chandelures at my disposal. We'll see here. I do have that 1 switch left. I think that was a really big mistake playing the switch there. I got kind of greedy, and I basically just said, alright, I'm forcing you to have a Shelmet to keep up this deck and cover lock. Otherwise, you're going to lose. But I should have just saved the switch. Like, this turn I would have just been able to Curse Shadow, Shelmet, and then switch, and then Curse Shadow, and I win the game. But now that's my last switch. And I can actually lose now. So I'm not really sure what I was thinking with that. I made a big mistake, I think. And that might end up costing me the game here. Which I definitely did have wrapped up. And I said, yeah, not sure why I played that switch. I think I just got so excited I could finally play items again. Man. I don't know. But now I guess the plan is just to keep targeting down Shelmet and then hope that 1 turn he just misses. And it doesn't get an Accelgor. Because he is shuffling an Accelgor, Shelmet, double colorless every turn. Alright, his deck is going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's just a chance he's going to miss, you know, either the Accelgor or the double colorless eventually. And I should end up winning. Alright, so we're going to Max Potion the Chandelure and pass. Oh boy, what have I gotten myself into here? We do have another Accelgor here. Does he pull it off? Does he get another deck and cover here? If he does, I could be in some trouble. We see the computer search. Uh-oh. This is bad news, honestly. We see the DCE onto Mew. And we're going to see a deck and cover. But basically next turn that means he has to draw. I mean, his hand has to be Accelgor double colorless, right? I think at this point we've worn him down where he just needs too many cards. He is probably out of supporter. He says, I probably should have beached there, but honestly I think I'm dead. And I think I agree at this point. We have just barely grinded him down to the point where we can pull this off. I don't know. This has been a long, excruciating game. I did not know who was going to win, but I think Flygon, Chandelure, Dusknoir has done it. Look at that. We have 4 Trapinches in there, 3 Flygon, and a Duskull. I think I just need to Curse Shadow and pass the turn and leave it at that. And now he's going to need DCE, Shelmet, and he just uses Tropical Beach. And that's it. We did it. Chandelure, Flygon, Dusknoir takes down the deck that won U.S. Nationals and Michael Pram won. So this is going to be my first video in the series where I take on top-tier players with low-tier decks. I hope you enjoyed this one. We'll have more soon. I am Pooka here from the Top Cut. I'll have more videos for you soon for sure. And I'll see you guys next time.